down on the level below us, we're looking at next. Fluoride comes in paper bags. And this is approximately a 1-year supply. This will get us almost a year, what you're seeing here. The guys come up here a couple times a week. They'll dump 1 or 2 bags in the hopper to keep it clear. And I just want to stress, we don't wear hazmat suits. We're not dumping it into the water. We're putting it into a hopper where it's volumetrically fed. It's very tightly controlled, the feed going into it. So I really hate looking in the paper and here we're dumping fluoride into water with hazmat suits on, because we're not. We wear goggles, gloves, and an industrial respirator to handle this stuff. So at any rate, this is how it comes in. The loading sheet we couldn't find for you, Lou, that we found like 2 weeks ago, it was on the back of that very back pallet facing the wall, and there was only one of them, a bill of lading. And we never knew we had them until Martha told me to go find one, and I looked once and I didn't find it, and I finally came up here again and it was stuck on the back side, inside the plastic wrap.
Yeah, I don't think Kurt was too excited when I said go look again on every side of every pallet, see if there is one. But he did, he came and did it, he used it.
And does all of it come from KC Industries?
It does. Everything we buy is from KC Industry, and they do in fact get it from China now. We did find that out, I think last time before your meeting, we were asked, and in April of 2013, they started getting it from China, and that's when they started. Before that, it was always manufactured at their facility in Woolbury, Florida.
Oh, so they just started.
They just started doing that in April, yes.
I think they sold both out of both from China and they're both. I think they have for a long time.
They still do make it.
Yeah.
But they had some input material, the cost went so high that they could no longer be competitive.
So our original shoe that we had would have been for what we bought in when we bid it in the end of 2012 or 2013.
Yes.
Then we did a new sheet. We'll be just at the beginning of each year we bid it, and then we get new information from our suppliers.
And this is a good time to ask you, why don't you explain to us how you dispose of the bags that we don't
empty them as completely as possible. We put them in a big green trash bag, and when that trash bag's full, it goes to the landfill.
And there's no problem with the residue and
No, as long as they're emptied as completely as possible. And we pay for this, so we get as much of that. I'm sure there's powder inside the bags, so we can't get it all. But yeah, that's how it's disposed of.
And we have reconfirmed with our landfill operator, and they've reconfirmed with the state in Topeka that that's okay. So we check those out, those type of things. So we just ran the drill and re-asked the questions so we can be confident that we gave you the right answer. So
that's why we want to ask.
And our operator out at the landfill, he called the state and talked to them about it.
So one of our persons said, so if I could have a bag, could I have a bag?
No.
I don't want one.
No.
Okay.
We dispose of it that way and send it to the landfill. We wouldn't be giving these bags or any of our bags, anything comes into citizens. It would just not be a smart thing to do, because there's lots of different products we have around here, and we handle it, we take care of it.
How many chemicals are used for fluoridation other than this one? That's it. You don't add
us.
For you.
That's it.
So on that bid sheet that was in the paper that had 12 different chemicals on it, what are all those chemicals used for? You had like sodium ash and aluminum sulfate and
other parts of the process, whether it's water softening, alum.
It's acetylene in our river basin. The river water's just full of colloidal solids that won't settle out. The alum reverses the charge on those colloidal solids, so then we can add a polymer. Those solids bind together, settle in the bottom, and we can have cleaner water to work with. So they're settling aids. Soda ash and lime, quick lime, they're softening. They take the water. The hardness of our water is 300 to 400. It leaves the plant usually at about 125, and that's just a measure, the way the soap lathers up and the minerals in the water. We remove those. It's aesthetics and industrials.
You might have a water softener at your home if you wanted super soft water
Yeah.
for something else. We're softening it down to about 120.
Yeah, 120, 120.
Out of curiosity, what unit of measurement is that?
It's milligrams per liter. It would be 7 grains of hardness is about what we leave with. It's
Okay.
relatively soft water.
Okay.
A lot of people deal in grains.
Yeah.
Okay.
We deal in milligrams per liter because that's what we can measure.
Chlorine is for disinfection,
Yes.
for
Yeah,
main disinfection.
Well-
There's a sodium
yeah,
hexametaphosphate.
that one.
That's the chemical back here. And that's really a filter aid. It helps coat the pipes. It coats the sand in our filters and it makes them more effective. Our filters are gravity filters. They have a layer of carbon or coal essentially is what it is.
Anthracite.
Anthracite, yeah. Then there's sand and different layers of gravel. And they provide a very fine filtering at the end of our process to catch anything that might have got through the previous processes.
Okay.
There's also a blended polyphosphate that you see on there. And that's for our stripping towers. We have air stripping towers where all our groundwater is pumped into the top of these towers. It falls through the tower with air coming by it to pick up any volatile compounds that might be underground from our industrial past, the dry cleaning solvents, the fuel tanks. And the polyphosphates treat the stripping towers to keep growth out of it and solids from building up inside them. The only controversial chemical I talked to, I can't remember who I talked to about our chemicals. It's the fellow that spoke at the last commission meeting, I'm trying to remember. Of course, a lot of people did, but anyway, the only really controversial chemical I know of that we're using is this, that I hear about. You know, when you go out and hear about people talk about, some people don't like chlorine, but they don't remember when people died from getting intestinal diseases. But
Well, we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place on that one.
yeah, we need it. But fluoride is the only thing I can think of that we use as controversial.
And fluoride is, this product is all we use as far as for the fluoride. Everything else we're either settling or making stuff slick so stuff doesn't grow to it, or we're disinfecting our water before it goes out into the system.
And they prove those other two products are just
They've been used for
fine
years.
for drinking.
Yes.
And on that bid sheet, that's all the chemicals that you use during any of the process?
For treatment, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we bid all of our chemicals at the end of every
A
year.
year.
And then trying to get the best price we can, and then we purchase for a year from them, and then at the end of the year, we do it all over again.
Now, on this certification here, it's certified from China as to what's in it, or?
If I understand right, you know, they actually get tested at the factory at Mulberry. And they were gonna send us some information on, when they have some testing.
In May of 13, NSF was in testing their products. And they were supposed to send us, and they started this in April, but they were supposed to send us further verification, but we did not get that.
We haven't got it yet anyhow from the ladies, but we've asked for when they were last tested at that facility. And they're actually UL tested.
Yeah, UL using NSF standards. UL business facility and testing facility.
And to be honest with you, in our world, almost everything that's at the water plant has to have that NS certification, even our pipe. Any piece of pipe, anything we use. So it's not just this product, everything we have is certified to be either NSF 60 or 61, depending upon which type of product it is, so it can be used in potable water. Even if we paint a basin, anything that comes in contact with potable water. So we have, I don't know, I don't think I can guess, but you know, many products. If you think when it all touches the water, from the paint to a piece of pipe to anything that goes in the water has to meet those certifications. So we're used to looking for those letters and that information on the product. You know, like, well, do we test each product? No, because if we did, that's all we do every day was cut a chunk out of a piece of pipe and send it somewhere, or take a piece of paint and send it off. So that's kind of our level of standard is that organization.
So Casey Industries just randomly test this once in a while, or every single batch, or you probably don't know either.
No, what we look for, and if I had to guess, I doubt that they do every batch, because like pipe, they'll fill so much pipe, then they'll run another test and see if it's staying within their tolerance, because they couldn't test every stick of pipe, or they couldn't test every bag, or they never, well, probably we never be able to afford any products if we got it. If every can of green beans you bought was tested to see if it said exactly what was in there, you probably couldn't afford a can of green beans. But we look for that standard on everything that we get on the water side. That's not so much true on the wastewater side. It's different there.
And how long has Salina been using this particular product?
That I couldn't tell you. I would have to go back to the bid documents. Our feed system is set up for this type of flora. Now, whether 20 years ago they used a different one, I couldn't tell you. This system was put in the 90s,
I'm trying to remember when it
late
is.
90s, early 2000s, late 90s, well, mid 90s. I don't know. Since this system's been put in, this is what they've been getting.
I think it was the same before.
Yeah, it was the same system.
We
they
used
put
this,
doing it.
we've never used a liquid on here.
Yeah,
That I can remember.
yeah.
So our water supply.
That's an interesting night for them to do
It's up as well. And the wells might be more consistent as far as coordination. Because how many parts per million is a measure before you start adding one? If you get downstream from somebody who probably has fluoridated water and uses the river, and then we get it here, are you guys testing for that water before we add the
We have,
0.7?
over the time frame, we have tested some of the wells whenever we do a test, but we actually test to make sure that the water leaving here is 0.7 milligrams per liter. That's what we test for. And it doesn't vary much, but it can vary from one well versus another from the river, depending on how much water we're using from the river, how much from the wells. That's blended. So our goal is to test the finished water. And, after years and years like this, it's pretty, the levels are pretty consistent, and this is a volumetric meter, so it measures proportionally to match up with our flow what we need to do. So it's,
So
and
when
we'll
you
show you down below where you can actually kind of see what's, where it sprinkles out of the volumetric meter. This is kind of the hopper that stores it. And so if you look, when you see, you'll see the volume that's going in that's pretty, well, you've seen it. It's just, how would you describe it? Just grains. It's not like a big stream, it's a very, maybe like a finger dribbling in water. So just think about that, and we're running anywhere from 5 to 10 million gallons of water here per day. It stays pretty consistent over time. We know what comes in, we know what goes out, but we never test the influent fluoride. Our requirements keep us to the effluent, and any standards that we have measured, they're not things that we've tested personally, because our lab is certified for testing those. KDHE does all of that testing that ends up in our water quality report. So they do all of that. That way, nobody's messing with the numbers, or we're not doing the test right. They take the samples and they test all of it.
And just out of curiosity, annually, if this is an annual supply, would this pallet have been what we started like within January, and the rest of this will finish off the year?
We got this in December.
December?
Yeah, about mid-December.
What are we looking about as far as how many pounds of fluoride we're looking here?
I don't know how many bags on a pallet. I guess we got to count that. There's yeah, I could. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
10.
So 10 and there's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, there's okay.
Must be.
and they're
Must be
50 pound
50 on
bags.
it.
Are there 50-pound bags?
Yeah, 50. Yeah, 50 per pallet. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to sound like a lot of tons, but you got to remember 2 billion gallons of water going through.
Over a year.
Every year.
2.1 billion.
2.1 billion, and a good rule of thumb for background fluoride in this part of Kansas is 0.3 milligrams per liter. Any place you go to get water, whether it's fluoridated or not, 0.3. So, and some places where you're getting groundwater, it may be higher.
I got one question. On the bag there, it's got, I'm not a chemist, so I don't understand. Maybe it's all the same thing, but it looks like 3 different chemical names on the side.
Yeah, it does. There's three names for this that are interchangeable. If you Google it,
Okay.
if you Google that, what is it, sodium fluorosilicate, and if you Google it, the other 3 names will come up as well.
I see. Okay.
You can Google all 3 and you'll get right back to the same compound. They're used interchangeably.
Okay.
Now, can we get samples of this so we can have it analyzed?
What we would do, just so there's no, you didn't mess with it, we didn't mess with it, we'd like to have, if that's what you choose to do, have a lab, take the sample, have a chain of custody and handle it. So, you know,
Well,
you can't think we messed with it,
Well,
I
yeah.
can't think you messed with it.
I understand that,
I
yeah.
don't trust
That
you.
makes sense.
It's just that,
That's good. That's
that's
good.
the way,
what
you know,
it should be done.
you'd get a third party that's
Sure.
not
That would
on
come
your
in.
side or
Yeah,
my side.
I understand that,
Right.
yeah.
So that you could pick them, and of course,
Absolutely.
and I can tell you, we can't even come close with anything we have here to run and analyze that, and I
We
guess,
wouldn't have the ability to. I don't think
I don't-
Continental can either.
I'm not sure where you would go to get it analyzed, because I've never asked that question. I don't know what would be the right third-party location.
UL would be a good place
We
to
have
start.
that all figured out.
Okay, well then you're good to go then.
We have all our bags and everything, we're gonna do it together. So
No,
Well, we
I don't
can't
think
do
so.
that,
I
she's
don't
saying.
think
That would have to be, I think
They
the lab
said
has to
we
get
could
the
get a
same.
sample from the lab, yes.
Yeah, but we said you're gonna have somebody come and pick it up. They're gonna take this bag with them. You're not gonna touch it, we're not gonna
Well,
touch
they
it.
thought we go to the post office together.
No, we're gonna make sure there's no possibility
Yeah,
of anything going on, so it's,
So they'll have to come and pick it up.
and I don't know how much they want or what volume of that they want.
Did they
but-
say? Lou?
Well, the,
They specified.
a couple of
Now,
tablespoons.
there's another place in Colorado, I don't think they want to run all of this.
They probably have another lab here in Salina that they could work with that might collect it for them. If we, like water samples and things, there's a protocol to what you do to collect it, and I couldn't tell you what it is for that, and I just like to make sure.
Yeah,
So we need to go through our Salina.
Or if whoever you have picked out can do it for you, they could contact somebody here that's third party to all of us, because
Yes.
water samples are real picky when you take those. You gotta make sure you've got the bottles right and everything about it, and I don't know what you put in that bag before you brought it over here, Lou. I'm kidding, because I know you, but we
Yeah,
don't
we
want any
understand.
doubts from anybody that that bag was contaminated.
Well, and I kept saying it's hazardous waste, how can we pick it up? See?
They told you it wasn't, didn't you? You could pick it up and touch it, huh?
No.
Somehow you're gonna get it in that bag. You tell me, how was you gonna do that, Lou?
We were gonna watch you do it.
Ah!
Hey, you remember your glass?
So, was there another pallet that, or was there 9 pallets altogether, or was there another one, 10 one created and supplied?
I believe it's just a 9.
Just 9?
But yeah, I think we sent you the sheet on that, so, well, we can check it and see.
That's
I don't
close
think
enough.
we'd be past that yet.
Oh, no, we would have used 1 in a month.
And they'll,
Okay, so about approximately 9 of these.
Yeah.
Okay.
and, you know, depending
Yeah,
upon
really.
demand.
Yeah, if it rains a lot this year, it'll be less. If it's really dry and we water a lot of grass, it'll be more.
Yeah. Whatever, it's based on
Yeah.
volumetric, whatever
I got
water goes through here is the amount of fluoride we'll use, and sometimes we'll have to get some late in the year,
Yeah.
just depends, but.
There's no place that measures the fluoride first and then puts the rest of it.
We don't do that.
End up with your,
We can't. Water is constantly millions of gallons a day running through. We feed it and we test the water leaving. If the water starts creeping up, we'll turn that adjustment down, it'll feed less. And if the level's falling, we'll turn it up and it'll feed more to maintain 0.7. And it's not something we adjust every day.
Yes.
I mean, it's really a consistent feed, because as the water flow goes up and down, you know, the feed goes up and down. We just have to feed to turn the ratio up or down. And it's not adjusted at all. It's something that you can set. You can probably set it and come back in a month, and some days you'd be higher and some days you'd be lower. But we do adjust it whenever we see it getting out of whack.
It's pretty minor type of adjustments that you're looking at there. But most of our feeders are set up on volume measuring. We have flow measurement that pays attention to what the flow is, and otherwise we turn on wells and different things. We'd have somebody going around the plant all day turning knobs, up and down, up and down. So it's just when we did all the upgrades in the late 90s and early 2000s, put in that kind of a system where it was more reads the flow and it has a brain. So we let the brain run a lot of that stuff. I guess is what I call it.
Oh, sure.
It's really a PLC, programmable logic controller, but it's a brain, and it's better than us turning the knob when we see something changing. It's watching it day in and day out.
Can we go see?
That's what stops the corrosions in the pipe, and they want you to do it.